Today, I'm about to get real with you in a way I never thought I would. We're diving into a topic that has rocked my world: how David Goggins, the motivational powerhouse, ended up having a surprising and unintended impact on my mental health. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest content. Now, let's dive right in. Hey everyone, it's Mindset Maven, and if you're new here, I'm a regular guy just trying to navigate life's challenges. A few years ago, I stumbled upon David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL turned ultra athlete and motivational speaker. His story of overcoming adversity and pushing the limits of human potential was nothing short of inspirational. I was hooked. I bet many of you can relate. David's relentless pursuit of self-improvement was contagious, and I started incorporating his principles into my own life. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. The obsession begins. You see, when I first encountered David Goggins and his powerful mantra of "can't hurt me," I felt like I had discovered the key to unlocking my fullest potential. His incredible story of overcoming adversity resonated with me on a deep level. I thought I was on the path to becoming the best version of myself, and I was genuinely excited about it. I started waking up at 4 a.m. every day, just like Goggins, and embarked on intense workouts that pushed my physical limits. I read his book cover to cover and plastered my walls with motivational quotes from him. I even began documenting every aspect of my life, just like he did, thinking that this level of discipline and self-accountability was the secret sauce to success. But little did I know that I was gradually spiraling into an unhealthy obsession with self-improvement. What started as genuine inspiration was turning into an unsustainable quest for perfection. I was constantly comparing myself to Goggins and measuring my worth by how closely I could mirror his extreme dedication. I remember one incident vividly. It was a freezing, rainy morning, and I was out on a grueling run. Despite the terrible weather and exhaustion creeping in, I kept pushing myself, driven by this irrational fear that I might not be as tough as Goggins if I stopped. I ended up with a minor injury that day, but I refused to acknowledge it. I pushed through the pain because I thought that's what Goggins would do. This was just one of many moments where I ignored my body's signals, both mentally and physically, all in the name of emulating someone I admired. The line between inspiration and obsession had blurred, and it was taking a toll on my mental well-being. The pressure to perform. David Goggins, with his unrelenting dedication and superhuman achievements, undoubtedly sets the bar incredibly high. His incredible feats, like running ultra marathons and completing grueling SEAL training 3 times, are nothing short of awe-inspiring. But as they say, the devil is in the details. At the outset, striving to match Goggins' intensity seemed like a worthy goal. I thought that if he could conquer the unimaginable, why couldn't I? But here's where things got tricky. The pressure to perform at his level can be incredibly overwhelming. I began to feel like I had to constantly outdo myself to even come close to what Goggins had achieved. I'd set insane fitness goals, like running a marathon every weekend or doing hundreds of pull-ups in a single session. The gym became my second home, and I was burning the candle at both ends. The more I tried to emulate Goggins, the more I started doubting my own abilities. I'd look at his accomplishments and wonder if I was just fooling myself, believing I could ever reach that level. This self-doubt was like a shadow that followed me everywhere, and it was eroding my self-esteem. And let's not forget the pressure from the online community. I'd see other people on social media claiming to be Goggins' disciples and sharing their own jaw-dropping feats. It felt like a never-ending competition, a race without a finish line. The fear of falling behind or not measuring up was ever present. But here's the catch. Goggins himself acknowledges that he is an extreme outlier, and even he warns against trying to be exactly like him. I had missed that crucial nuance in my obsession. The pressure to meet his standards, unrealistic as they were for most people, was pushing me towards burnout and self-doubt. In hindsight, I've come to realize that while David Goggins' achievements are remarkable, they are his, not mine. And trying to force myself into his mold was a recipe for disaster. It took me a while to see that there's a thin line between motivation and the suffocating pressure to perform at someone else's level. Ignoring mental health. Now, let's dive into another crucial aspect of my journey: how the Goggins mentality tends to prioritize physical toughness over mental health, and how I, like many others, found myself neglecting my emotional well-being. David Goggins' story is all about pushing through physical pain and adversity, and it's easy to get caught up in that narrative. But what often gets lost in the hype is the importance of mental health. I convinced myself that if I pushed myself hard enough physically, everything else in my life would magically fall into place. So there I was, pushing my body to its limits, thinking I was on the path to greatness. But in the process, I was ignoring the warning signs from my own mind. I'd feel overwhelming stress and anxiety, but I'd brush it aside, believing that mental toughness meant suppressing these feelings. The truth is, I was neglecting my emotional well-being. I was running from my problems rather than confronting them. I was using physical exertion as a way to escape the very real challenges and emotional turmoil I was facing in my life. And it wasn't just me. I've heard from countless individuals who've fallen into this same trap. We were all so focused on becoming physically invincible, thinking it would solve our problems, that we completely neglected our mental health. It's essential to understand that physical and mental health are interconnected. Ignoring one while focusing solely on the other is a recipe for disaster. Mental toughness should never mean suppressing your emotions or neglecting your mental well-being. In fact, it should mean having the strength to address your emotional challenges head-on. The breaking point. As I journeyed deeper into the world of David Goggins' philosophy, it became increasingly clear that my mental health was deteriorating. The breaking point, that moment of reckoning, was something I could no longer ignore. It was a seemingly ordinary day, much like any other. I was out on a long run, pushing myself to the limit as usual. But this time, something was different. I wasn't just physically exhausted. I felt mentally drained too. As I ran, my thoughts turned darker and more self-critical. I began questioning my worth, my abilities, and the purpose of all this relentless self-improvement. The very thing that had once been my source of motivation was now suffocating me. I slowed down to catch my breath, and it was in that moment of stillness that hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized that I had become a slave to a vision of success that wasn't even my own. I had been chasing someone else's dreams and ignoring my own needs and desires. Tears welled up in my eyes as I sat on the side of the road, gasping for air. I felt lost, broken, and utterly defeated. It was at that very moment that I knew I had to reevaluate my entire approach to self-improvement and well-being. This turning point was a wake-up call, a stark reminder that I was not invincible and that my mental health was just as important as my physical fitness. It was time to find a balance between pushing my limits and taking care of my mental and emotional well-being. So where am I now? Well, I've come a long way since the darkest days of my journey, and I've learned some invaluable lessons along the way. I want to share these lessons with you all. Before we wrap up, I want to encourage each and every one of you to reflect on your own journey towards self-improvement. While David Goggins' story is undeniably inspiring, remember that balance and self-compassion are key. It's okay to push yourself, but it's equally important to take care of your mental health. If you've had a similar experience or have any thoughts on this topic, please share them in the comments below. Let's start a conversation and support one another on our paths to self-improvement. And of course, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. Thank you for joining me on this personal journey. Remember, it's okay to be inspired by incredible individuals like David Goggins. but it's also crucial to prioritize your own mental health along the way. Stay balanced, stay motivated, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. Until next time, this is Mindset Maven, signing off.